What is your path to Dharma?
Check, check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Reporting live from the Kali Yuga. It's the Path to Dharma podcast.
And you sound much better this time. You do. You do.
Good, good, good. Apologize for my terrible sound last week, everyone. Shannon here with Shay, reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, giving devotion and love to Krishna 24/7 up in here. And we are really glad to be here again this week, reading chapter 15.
Whoop, whoop.
Canto 4, Srimad Bhagavatam. It has been a wonderful journey with this book, and I'm grateful to be here this morning. How are you, Shay?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I love waking up and reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. I've had Shiva, 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 Shambho
Mm.
stuck in my head for the last 2 days. Literally have woken up saying that. So I think I'm burning away some things within me that feels really nice. And yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'd love a little recap of what we have been reading.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
this
Okay.
chapter, well, should we do obeisances and then recap, or should we do recap then obeisances?
Let's do recap, then obeisances,
Okay.
and we'll start right after. So,
Okay.
um, I mean, we just finished reading this story of King Vena,
Right. Yeah.
ever, and it's like this crazy thing happened where the rishis got together and said some mantra to take him out because he was so unrighteous, and then they used his hand. I'm sorry, there's some weird thing they do with his hand that they stir. It's almost like the churning of the ocean, the primordial ocean. It's like they do something like that. That reminds me of that. And the Nisada race was born,
Oh, yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
It was from his thighs. Okay, I'm sorry. Person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bāhuka. His complexion was black as crows. The limbs of his body were
Yes.
short, arms, legs, laws, like that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
where we just left off. Um, after, and he was a descendant of Daksa, actually,
Right.
a few people down. So that's where we're at. And the next chapter is called King Prthu's Appearance and Coronation.
Whoop,
So
whoop.
let's go ahead and do some
All
obeisances
right.
today.
Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one must first offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering a service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Act. How? Let's go. Thank you
All
for
right,
that.
chapter 15. I got Sprucey Moose outside,
Right, right, right,
so
right.
we all know how that went last episode.
He just
We've got
likes to be included. I mean, he's sitting
does.
there here hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yes.
Sometimes I wonder about like the spider that lives in the corner of the room here. Are they hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Right,
What
I
happens
definitely
to
have a
them?
spider in my corner as well. So,
Well, they say spiders are in 100% of houses.
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
that's all.
Oh yeah. Spiders are your friends.
Okay, I'm gonna take a little sip of liquid here.
All right, chapter 15, King Prthu's appearance and coronation. Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, thus the Brahmins and the great sages again churned the two arms of King Vena's dead body. As a result, a male and female couple came out of his arms.
Whoa. The great sages were highly learned in Vedic knowledge. When they saw a male and female born of the arms of Vena's body, they were very pleased, for they could understand that the couple was an expansion of a plenary portion of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
The great sages said, The male is a plenary expansion of the power of Lord Viṣṇu, who maintains the entire universe, and the female is a plenary expansion of the goddess of fortune, who is never separated from the Lord.
Okay. Of the two, the male will be able to expand his reputation throughout the world. His name will be Pṛthu, Indeed, he will be the first among kings.
The female has such beautiful teeth and beautiful qualities that she will actually beautify the ornaments she wears. Her name will be Archi. In the future, she will accept King Prthu as her husband.
In the form of King Prthu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared through a part of his potency to protect the people of the world.
Hmm.
The goddess of fortune is the constant companion of the Lord, and therefore she has incarnated partially as Archi to become King Prthu's queen.
Hmm. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Viduraji, at that time all the Brahmins highly praised and glorified King Prthu, and the best singers of Gandharva-loka chanted his glories. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka showered flowers, and the beautiful women in the heavenly planets danced in ecstasy.
I always love thinking about the Gandharvas and the different inhabitants of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
um, Conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums vibrated in outer space. Great sages, forefathers, and personalities from the heavenly planets all came to Earth from various planetary systems.
As we've seen,
Yes,
probably flying in their spaceships.
right.
Lord Brahma, the master of the entire universe, arrived there accompanied
Oh,
by all the demigods and their chiefs. Seeing the lines of Lord Vishnu's palm on King Pṛthu's right hand and impressions of lotus flowers on the sole of his feet, Lord Brahma could understand that King Pṛthu was a partial representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One whose palm bears the sign of a disc, as well as other such lines, should be considered a partial representation or incarnation of the Supreme Lord.
interesting.
Guess that's one way to check.
Right. The learned Brahmins, who were very attached to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies, then arranged for King Pṛthu's for the king's coronation. Sorry. Then arranged for the king's coronation. People from all directions collected all the different paraphernalia for the ceremony. Thus, everything was complete.
All the rivers, seas, hills, mountains, serpents, cows, birds, animals, heavenly planets, the earthly planet, and all other living entities collected various presentations according to their ability to offer to the king.
Thus, the great King Pṛthu, exquisitely dressed with garments and ornaments, was coronated and placed on the throne. The king and his wife, Archi, who was exquisitely ornamented, appeared exactly like fire.
The great sage continued, My dear Vidura, Kubera presented the great King Pṛthu with the golden throne. The demigod Varuna presented him with an umbrella that constantly sprays fine particles of water and was as brilliant as the moon.
That's a cool little thing.
Yeah.
Um, the demigod of air, Vayu, presented King Pṛthu with 2 whisks of hair. The king of religion, Dharma, presented him with a flower garland which would expand his fame. The king
Mm.
of heaven, Indra, presented him with a valuable helmet, and the superintendent of death, Yamaraja, presented him with a scepter with which to rule the world.
Lord Brahma presented King Pṛthu with a protective garment made of spiritual knowledge. Bharati, Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, gave him a transcendental necklace. Lord Vishnu presented him with a Sudarsana disc, and Lord Vishnu's wife, the goddess of fortune, gave him imperishable opulences.
This is really slightly reminding me of that passage in the Bible about the armor of God. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it,
No.
but there's this passage that talks about to basically protect yourself, that you put on the armor of God, and it talks about like the chest plate of righteousness and like the helmet of knowledge. I'm saying those wrong probably, but it's basically this idea that you cover yourself in these ornaments of God, and they represent, truth and light and knowledge,
Mm.
and they're a protection for you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like it's talking about here. Where am I? Text 17. Lord Shiva presented him with a sword within a sheath marked with 10 moons, and his wife, the goddess Durga, presented him with a shield marked with 100 moons. The
Mm.
moon demigod presented him with horses made of nectar, and the demigod Vishvakarma presented him with a very beautiful chariot.
The demigod of fire, Agni, presented him with a bow made of the horns of goats and cows. The sun god presented him with arrows as brilliant as sunshine. The predominating deity of Bāhuka presented him with slippers full of mystic powers. The demigods from the outer space brought him presentations of flowers again and again.
That is so cool. Magic slippers,
Mm-hmm.
everything. The demigods who always travel in outer space gave King Prthu the arts to perform dramas,
Ah,
sing songs, play musical instruments, and disappear at his will. This is awesome. He has major powers coming on.
love that.
The great sages the great sages also offered him infallible blessings. The ocean offered him a conch shell produced from the ocean.
The seas, mountains, and rivers gave him room to drive his chariot without impediments. And a Sutta, a Magadha, and a Vandi offered prayers and praises. They all presented themselves before him to perform their respective duties.
Thus, when the greatly powerful King Prthu, the son of Vena, saw the professionals before him to congratulate them, he smiled, and with the gravity of the vibrating sounds of clouds, he spoke as follows.
King Prthu said, O gentle Sutta, Magadha, and other devotees, offering prayers, the qualities of which you have spoken are not distinct in me. Why then should you praise me for all these qualities when I did not shelter these features? I do not wish for these words meant for me to go in vain, but is it better that they be offered to someone
Mm.
else? But it is better that they be offered to someone else.
O gentle reciters, offer such prayers in due course of time, when the qualities of which you have spoken actually manifest themselves in me.
Hmm.
The gentle who offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead do not attribute such qualities to a human being who does not actually have them.
So we have another humble king.
Yes.
How could an intelligent man competent enough to possess such exalted qualities allow his followers to praise him if he did not actually have them? Praising a man by saying that if he were educated, he might have become a great scholar or a great personality is nothing but a process of cheating. A foolish person who agrees to accept such praise does not know that such words simply insult him.
Wow. I mean, imagine all the people on earth right now or
I
who
was
are
just thinking that.
happy to accept praise they don't earn or aren't worth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a person with a sense of honor and magnanimity does not like to hear about his abominable actions. A person who is very famous and powerful does not like to hear himself praised. A humble one, anyway, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Right. King Prthu continued, My dear devotees, headed by the sutta, just now I am not very famous for my personal activities because I have not done anything praiseworthy you could glorify. Therefore, how could I engage you in praising my activities exactly like children?
How? We're gonna
Okay,
go.
yeah, we got to go to the next one. Let me just go take a peek at Spruce
Yeah,
because
go
I'm
ahead.
afraid I won't hear him with my headphones on.
Okay.
So just give me 1 second.
On to chapter 16, Praise of King Prthu by the professional reciters. I love that.
Ooh.
Text 1. The great sage Maitreya continued. While King Prthu thus spoke, the humility of his nectarian speeches pleased the reciters very much. Then again, they continued to praise the king highly with exalted prayers, as they had been instructed by the great sages.
The reciters continued, Dear King, you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Viṣṇu. By his causeless mercy, you have descended on this earth. Therefore, it is not possible for us to actually glorify your exalted activities. Although you have appeared through the body of King Vena, even great orators and speakers like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot exactly describe the glorious activities of your lordship.
Although we are unable to glorify you adequately, we nonetheless have a transcendental taste for glorifying your activities. We shall try to glorify you according to the instructions received from authoritative sages and scholars. Whatever we speak, however, is always inadequate and very insignificant. dear king, because you are a direct incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all your activities are liberal and ever laudable.
Mm. This king, Maharaja Pṛthu, is the best among those who are following religious principles. As such, he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He will also be a great chastiser to the irreligious and atheistic.
This king alone in his body will be able in due course of time to maintain all living entities and keep them in a pleasant condition by manifesting himself as different demigods to perform various departmental activities. Thus, he will maintain the upper planetary system by inducing the populace to perform Vedic sacrifices. In due course of time, he will also maintain this earthly planet by discharging proper rainfall.
Mm. This King Prthu will be as powerful as the sun god, and just as the sun god equally distributes his sunshine to everyone, King Prthu will distribute his mercy equally. Similarly, just as the sun god evaporates water for 8 months during the rainy season, returns it profusely, this king will also exact taxes from the citizens and return these monies in times of need.
This King Prthu will be very, very kind to all citizens. Even though a poor person may trample over the king's head by violating the rules and regulations, the king, out of his causeless mercy, will be forgetful and forgiving. As a protector of the world, he will be tolerant as the earth itself.
When there is no rainfall and the citizens are in great danger due to the scarcity of water, his royal personality of Godhead will be able to supply rains exactly like the heavenly King Indra. Thus, he will very easily be able to protect the citizens from drought.
This king, Pṛthu Maharaja, by virtue of his affectionate glances and beautiful moon-like face, which is always smiling with great affection for the citizens, will enhance everyone's peaceful life.
The reciters continued. No one will be able to understand the policies the king will follow. His activities will also be very confidential, and it will not be possible for anyone to know how he will make every activity successful. His treasury will always remain unknown to everyone. He will be the reservoir of unlimited glories and good qualities, and his position will be maintained and covered just as Varuna, the deity of the seas, is covered all around by water.
King Pṛthu was born of the dead body of King Vena as fire is produced from Arani wood. Thus, King Pṛthu will always remain just like fire, and his enemies will not be able to approach him. Indeed, he will be unbearable to his enemies. For although staying very near him, they will never be able to approach him, but will have to remain as if far away. No one will be able to overcome the strength of King Pṛthu.
King Prthu will be able to see all the internal and external activities of every one of his citizens. Still, no one will be able to know his system of espionage, and he himself will remain neutral regarding all matters of glorification or vilification paid to him. He will be exactly like air, the life force within the body, which is exhibited internally and externally, but is always neutral to all affairs.
Since this king will always remain on the path of piety, he will be neutral to both his sons and the son of his enemy. If the son of his enemy is not punishable, he will not punish him. But if his own son is punishable, he will immediately punish him.
Mm. Just as the sun god expands his shining rays up to the Arctic region without impedance, the influence of King Prthu will cover the tracts of land up to the Arctic region and will remain undisturbed as long as he lives.
This king will please everyone by his practical activities, and all of his citizens will remain very satisfied. Because of this, the citizens will take great satisfaction in accepting him as their ruling king.
I just love that they talk about the Arctic just now.
Yeah.
Um, The king will be firmly determined and always situated in truth. He will be a lover of the Brahminical culture and will render all service to old men and give shelter to all surrendered souls. Giving respect to all, he will always be merciful to the poor and innocent.
The king will respect all women as if they were his own mother, and he will treat his own wife as the other half of his body. He will be just like the affectionate father to his citizens, and he will treat himself as the most obedient servant of the devotees, who always preach the glories of the Lord.
Mm. The king will consider all embodied living entities as dear as his own self, and he will always be increasing the pleasure of his friends. He will intimately associate with liberated persons, and he will be a chastising hand to all impious persons.
This king is the master of the three worlds, and he is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is without change, and he is an incarnation of the Supreme Deity known as śaktyāveśa-avatāra. Being a liberated soul and completely learned, he sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience.
Hmm. This king, being uniquely powerful and heroic, will have no competitor. He will travel around the globe on his victorious chariot, holding his invincible bow in his hand and appearing exactly like the sun, which rotates on its own orbit from the south.
When the king travels all over the world, other kings, as well as the demigods, will offer him all kinds of presentations. Their queens will also consider him the original king, who carries in his hands the emblems of club and disc, and will sing of his fame, for he will be reputable as the supreme personality of Godhead.
This king, this protector of the citizens, is an extraordinary king and is equal to Prajapati demigods. For the living faculty of all citizens, he will milk the earth, which is like a cow. Not only that, but he will level the surface of the earth with the pointed ends of his bow, breaking all the hills exactly as King Indra, the heavenly king, breaks mountains with his powerful thunderbolt.
When the lion travels in the forest with its tail turned upward, all menial animals hide themselves. Similarly, when King Prthu will travel over his kingdom and vibrate the string of his bow, which is made of the horns of goats and bulls and is irresistible in battle, all demonic rogues and thieves will hide themselves in all directions.
At the source of the river Saraswati, the king will perform 100 sacrifices known as Asvamedha. In the course of the last sacrifice, the heavenly king Indra will steal the sacrificial horse.
Interesting. This King Prthu will meet Sanat Kumara, one of the four Kumaras, in the garden of his palace compound. The king will worship him with devotion and will be fortunate to receive instructions by which one can enjoy transcendental bliss.
Mm. In this way, when the chivalrous activities of King Prthu come to be known to the people in general, King Prthu will always hear about himself and his uniquely powerful activities.
No one will be able to disobey the orders of Prithvi Maharaja. After conquering the world, he will completely eradicate the threefold miseries of the citizens. Then he will be recognized all over the world. At that time, both the Suras and the Asuras will undoubtedly glorify his magnanimous activities.
Wow.
Wow.
Thus ends fourth canto, 16th chapter, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, wow. Do you see the next one?
Yeah, they do. Chapter 17, Maharaja Pṛthu becomes angry at the earth. Hey.
Well, we might have to read before next Tuesday because I'm really interested. Seems to be following the same kind of pattern that we've seen before, where somebody new is introduced and then we hear like obeisances upon them and
Yeah,
also hear like a little bit about what their life is going to be like.
right. And then something happens. You sure you can't continue?
I don't think so.
You don't
I
have
want
time.
to. I
Okay.
don't, yeah.
Okay. Kind of short and sweet this week then.
It is. It
But
is.
um sometimes that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Up here
Yeah.
in the Kali, things are going on. And I actually feel really even that little bit we just read, just hearing about the different qualities of the transcendental Lord, the qualities of God, basically. it's a good reminder that there's power in this universe that's totally in
Mm-hmm.
control, you know?
So crazy when we're reading. It's like I almost feel like little scrubs, like little things are like scrubbing away inside of me. I like legitimately feel more pure when we're reading.
Yeah. Well, it's doing something magical.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be feeling that way. And I, for one, am grateful to know all this. So,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I almost want to read tomorrow.
I know.
And maybe we can.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
Maybe we'll put this episode in part one and part two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick it up
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, dear ones, dear friends. Thanks so much for listening. Love and prayers to you. Love you, Shay. Have a
I
beautiful
love you
day
too.
today.
Hare Krishna.
We'll see you
Till
next
next
time.
time.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.